In this lesson, we're going over 5.1, which is graphing and solving inequalities. First, what I'd like you to do is write down this chart that I have at the top. I should have given you some space on your worksheet so you can put it there, or if you just want to put it in your notebook, that is fine as well. But we got 4 different types of inequalities. So let's take a look at those different types. We've got our greater than. The symbol, as you can see, is there right below it. One thing to remember with greater than is it is an open circle and it points to the right when we write down its graph. A less than is the opposite direction, and its graph is going to go the opposite direction with another open circle. Greater than or equal to, notice the line underneath it represents that it can be greater than or equal to and be a part of the solution of the inequality. Notice also the difference in the graph. The graph has a filled in circle or a closed circle versus the open. Same thing goes with the less than or equal to symbol. So in this lesson, we're going to start off by just graphing inequalities. Number 1, graph b is greater than or equal to -4. So we're going to -4. Since it says greater than or equal to, I do need to put a filled in circle there. And then all numbers greater than or equal to -4 are to the right of it. So we're going to draw an arrow going to the right of -4. And that's all we're doing. So that inequality has been graphed, and we just graph above it typically. You can put it on top of the line if you want, but sometimes it's hard to see if you fill in that circle or not. So I like to just put it right above the numbers. All right, I'm going to do the odds with you in the video, and then you can work on the evens after the video. All right, number 3. 3 is greater than or equal to A. Now this one's written backwards, so what we like to do is flip it around. So if I was to flip this around, I would read it as A is less than or equal to 3. Let me just write it above it. A is less than or equal to 3. So notice that I switched the order, and then I also flipped the inequality. And to make sure that everything's matching up, see how 3 is on the greater than side, the open side? 3 was also at the greater than side at the original inequality before I moved anything around. So that's just one check on if you're flipping everything correctly. Okay? So A is less than or equal to 3 is a lot easier to graph than thinking about 3 is greater than or equal to A. I like to put the variable on the left-hand side if I can. All right, so I want to graph A is less than or equal to 3. I'm going to go to 3. I'm going to put in a filled in circle because it is equal to as well, has the line underneath it. And then less than, all numbers to the left would be less than. All right, number 5. X is greater than -2. I'm going to go to -2. This time I'm putting an open circle because it does not have the equal to. And then all numbers greater than -2 are to the right of -2. All right, go ahead and pause the video and try 2 through 6. Okay, you should have done the evens from the section above. The sub does have the answer key if you want to ask the sub and see if you can check your work. If not, you can just wait until Tuesday when I'm back in class. Number 7 and 9, write an inequality for each graph. So this time we're working backwards. We can see the graph of the inequality. We need to write down what the inequality is. Okay, so number 7, I can see that it is a filled in circle, so I do know that it's going to be equal to 5. And then it's going to the left of 5, so it's less than or equal to 5. Okay, so I'm going to write an inequality. I'm going to use a variable. I'm going to pick x. So x is less than or equal to 5. All right, let's try number 9. So it's a filled in circle again. If it wasn't filled in, then you wouldn't have the equals of the equal to. But since it is filled in, I know that it's going to be equal to. This one's going to the right, so it's greater than. So x is greater than or equal to -1. One other thing to note, if you're putting the variable on the left-hand side, which is what I recommend, the direction of the inequality should match the arrow on the graph. All right, go ahead and try 8 and 10, and then resume the video once you're done. All right, you should be done with the front page. Now let's move on to the back. So on the back, we're going to practice solving one-step inequalities. And when you solve an inequality, it is the same thing as solving an equation. There will be one thing to note. Once we get there, I'll show you what to do and how it's different. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Our solution's just a little different because, of course, it's an inequality and not an equation. So for question 3, we want to solve. We got 12 plus x is greater than 15, and I want to get x by itself. So I'm going to start by just writing down the equation here. Okay, I want to isolate the x, and I can do the same operations that we do to solve equations with inequalities. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides to get the x by itself. The 12s eliminate, and I get x is greater than 3. Okay, now that I have a variable by itself, here's my inequality, x is greater than 3. I can go up and graph that solution. So I'm going to circle my answer, and then I'm going to go up to where x is greater than 3 here. So I'm going to put an open circle, point my arrow to the right. All numbers greater than 3. Okay, question 15. So I have negative 6 times x is less than or equal to negative 36. All right, just like if it was an equation, I'm going to divide by the negative 6 to get rid of it. Negative 6 is eliminated, and now I have x. And now here's the thing that we have to remember. If you divide by a negative, the inequality symbol switches. So notice it went from a less than or equal to now a greater than or equal to. Okay, so that's just one thing to remember. Whenever you divide or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to negative 36 divided by negative 6 is a positive 6. So the solution to this is x is greater than or equal to positive 6. I'm going to go up to 6. I'm going to put a filled-in circle and show all numbers greater than 6 is a part of the solution to this inequality. All right, number 17. Okay, very similar to the last problem. I'm going to start by writing down the inequality, give myself some space to work. Okay, I want to get the x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by the negative 17. Negative 17 eliminates. Don't forget, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality, so I'm going to change this to a less than. And then if I take 153 divided by negative 17, I get negative 9. So my solution is x is less than negative 9. I'm going to go up to where negative 9 is. I'm going to put an open circle, and I'm going to put my arrow to the left, representing all numbers less than. All right, I'm going to do, since we've got some division ones on the right-hand side, instead of 19, I'm going to do 20 with you. So on question 20, we have x divided by 11 is greater than 7. So I'm going to start by writing this one out. Okay, I want to get the x by itself. So just like an equation, I'm going to multiply by 11 because that's the inverse operation of dividing by 11. So these would reduce down to 1 or cancel out. That's what we like to say. And we get x is greater than 7 times 11 is 77. So I have x is greater than 77. Notice I did not change my inequality symbol because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. It's only when you do a negative that you have to flip it. So I go to 77. I put a open circle actually. And all numbers greater than that would be to the right. Okay, hopefully you found this video helpful. Now you should be finishing this. Once you're done, don't forget to submit it to Google Classroom. I'm expecting you to use Kami for this, but if you would like to just do it on notebook paper, if that's easiest for you, you can do that. Thanks for watching.